Sundarbans and so forth. So what I'd say is this, is we're about to open the UN Climate Change Conference. It's pretty much in disarray. I think the science is overwhelming that the world has to act immediately or we're in deep trouble, but it's pretty clear that the politicians are trying to avoid any responsibility, passing the buck to each other and making sure that somebody else pays for the damages they've caused. So we're in a situation right now where really scientists have to be putting pressure on governments to do the right thing. And this book is important because India is going to be the world's largest country in the world in terms of population. It's going to be playing a disproportionate role in humanity's, how can I say, effect on the environment, in China, as will China. So both countries are now producing most of their energy from coal. And so these two are really the elephants in the room, and they have to change. And I think the beauty of this book is that it shows practical ways in which Indian ecosystems can be regenerated to store carbon much better and to be much more economically productive, providing the ecosystem serves. So it's a very important book, and we will try to circulate it as much as we can. What I want to say is that I'm involved with trying to set up the Blue Climate Fund, which we hope will be announced in Glasgow. And what has happened, as you all know, sorry about the background noise, but as you all know, the UN set up the Green Climate Fund specifically to help developing countries with projects that essentially are ameliorating climate change. And it needs to be done at a very big scale. Now, the UN Green Climate Fund is now forming the Blue Climate Fund as sort of its marine counterpart. There has never been any place to go for that kind of work. So we're expecting that in this next month in Glasgow, that will be announced. They've asked me to advise them in terms of what kinds of projects they should be doing. And obviously regenerating coastal ecosystems and fisheries is going to be a major focus. So we're expecting that beginning next year, there is going to, for the first time, be a place that these kinds of projects can go to for funding on a large scale. And obviously we have to start applying them very seriously. And I think West Bengal and the Sundarbans is one of the most obvious places. And this book really leads the way. So anyway, I'll stop there, but it is a pleasure to be involved with this book. And we will, when I get information from you, Shambhu and Rus, we will definitely circulate information about the book to everyone we can. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Guru. So we will go to Dr. Mitra now, who is, like I mentioned a while ago, an inspiration to all. And we have a little rearranging of schedule here because of Dr. Guru's flight. We don't want him to miss that flight. So our next speaker is well known to most of you. There's no need of introduction. He has done so much. He has written so many books, and he was the one who actually told me before that, Russ, when he came to the States, he did give a presentation about mangroves, and that's one of my interests. And he mentioned to me, Russ, someday we will write a book. And I said, okay. And then he made it for the first volume, of course, and now the second volume. So without further ado, our keynote speaker, Dr. Abhijit Mitra, Associate Professor of and former Head, Department of Marine Sciences, Calcutta University, and Director of Research, Techno India, West Bengal, India. Welcome to Dr. Mitra again. Please help me welcome him, Dr. Mitra.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'm audible to everybody. So first of all, I must acknowledge Russ, because of when I met 10 years back at Boston, Massachusetts, he actually took me over many of the places like museum and other places where I could see the world, because I used to work in the forest of Sundarbans. It was a small domain for me, but actually I could see through the eyes of Russ, and I could see through the eyes of the other people over there. And thanks to Russ for this. And then I only thought the embryos start growing. The embryos start growing 10 years back. Usually the embryo takes 10 months to give birth of a child. But 10 years back, the embryos start growing. And now 10 years have passed. I'm happy that the major surgeon in this operations are not only Shambhu Prasad, but also a team of doctors, starting from Dr. Soma Jaiswal, who is from the Rotary Club. Actually, I invited her especially for this, and also Bisruti, who is, I think, the youngest student of mine. So it's a good range. Dr. Shashmita Rath is from Odisha, where the famous Bitarkanika mangrove ecosystem is there. So it's a wide array. It's a wide spectrum from the different parts of the planet. We are congregating over here. Now, today is not my day. Today is the day of yours. I like to hear from you, because I've given thousands and thousands of lectures and PPT presentation. So all that I can say is that I'm very, very happy to launch this book, and it should be circulated to all the members present over here within a week. And I'm also happy to the contributors, especially from the Bangladesh, like Mr. Emin Shorkar, Deepak Kantipal, who are our neighbors. And they also have a wide chunk of Sundarban forest in their country. About 60% is their occupancy. So that's how I'm very much happy with all this. And thanks to Dr. Sufia Zaman, who actually gave me the inspiration to write the books, to Dr. Prashanjit Pramanik, who saw the grammatical error in every steps. And also I'm thankful to everybody, especially I should mention the name of Dr. Saurabh Datta, who is present over here. Yesterday he came to me with momos, with sweets, with chow mein, with lot of dishes. Thanks, Saurabh. I have taken that one. I'm very happy. So actually, I'm to tell you frankly, I'm a very greedy person. And more I get the food, the more I get the inspiration of writing the books. So thank you, all of you. I would like to hear from you more. And thanks for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. Our next speaker is going to be introduced by Dr. Chakrabarty. Yes, Dr. Chakrabarty will introduce our next speaker.
Well, thank you, Russ, because, it gives me immense pleasure, to introduce to all the people here, Professor Rice. Professor Rice have been an amazing researcher, and all the questions when it comes to protecting the environment, I think, the key lie under the sea, and protecting the creatures under the sea and the water, whether it's fresh water or salt water. Now, Professor Rice have been working in this particular area for quite a long period of time. And whenever, I have come across reports that more than 90% of large water fishes have been extinct, more than 30% of freshwater fishes have gone extinct. Somewhere down the line, I have my questions for how we can come out of this particular challenge. And I've always believed that researchers like Professor Rice and Professor Guru and Professor Mitra can really make a difference in this particular area. So without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Rice. I think Professor Rice is here with us.
Yes, hello.
Yes, Professor. So here you go for everybody.
Okay, for this chapter, when Russ approached me to be a part of this effort again, I was thinking about sort of the theme that has been laid out, and some of the work that I've been doing over the years in a number of places. And I've been on the side, one of the things we're to do is capacity building at a number of universities in South and Southeast Asia, particularly in fisheries departments. Wanted to talk about some general principles about this. So, some of the universities that I've in the last 5 or 6 years that I've been to is the Jessore Technical University in Bangladesh. It's technically and not far away from where many of you are. I've worked at Cenderawasih University in the extreme east of Indonesia, right on the Papua New Guinea border. Halauleau University, they have a very distinguished fisheries department in Indonesia, and a number of universities in the Philippines, where Russ, not far from Russ, where Russ is from. I spent a Fulbright sabbatical at the Don Mariano Marcos Memorial State University in La Union in the Philippines. One of the things that sort of struck me is that the fisheries departments are robust and they have very good faculty. And but one of the things that is a commonality is that in many ways some of the curricula have been sort of stuck in time and have not really sort of developed along with the fact that there has been decreasing catches, or basically the global world catches have hit maximum sustainability yield in the last couple of decades, and there's in some places sort of the philosophy seems to be teaching students to how to fish, put more boats in the water, and the like. Alternatively, focusing on fish stock status, stock assessment, and sort of the biological side of things. However, as we're learning from our series here and taking our cue from originally the Brundtland Commission and now the sort of the periodic sustainable goals of the UN, is that there's more to it. There's economic elements and social elements in there that need to be taken care of. So largely my paper sort of outlines the history of sort of the development of fishery schools, the very distinguished fishery schools, the growth in the development of these schools after World War II, and the upswing of fisheries as documented in the UN FAO fisheries landings and the like, and basically the topping out of and maximizing of the sustainable yield of world fisheries. Now we're in a dilemma of making this transition to seriously managing the fisheries in a very cooperative way, and making sure that not only are the remaining fish stocks protected, but people that make their livelihood from fisheries sort of maintained sort of a healthy and happy life, and that there is reasonable good governance and a degree of stakeholder input into the decision making. Now, in my paper, I point out that the Fisheries College and the universities are in a unique position to be sort of a broker in this process in terms of bringing people together in sort of creating genuine dialogue between fisheries managers, fisheries decision makers, and the practitioners of of fishing themselves. Everybody has something to bring to the table, and the sort of the educational and research elements of the university can be brought to bear on these things for better outcomes for everybody. And I have a series of practical solutions that fisheries departments can engage in with fisheries departments to bring people together, cooperative research projects with all of the stakeholders to bring all elements together. As the Brundtland Commission and the United Nations has pointed out, there is sort of deep human elements within the fisheries, because any kind of management isn't really managing the fish, it's managing the people. And the social scientists need to be part of this and thought of within the fishery schools. So I see the part of the solution is sort of seeing more sociology and anthropology incorporated. So that is the kind of the my paper in a nutshell, and I leave it at there. There's my 5 minutes.
Thank you,
Dr.
Professor Rice, for this amazing discussion, and we would look forward to the solutions that you have proposed in protecting the water kingdom on a whole, and maybe we can think of introducing similar plan of action for the global south, and maybe we can help the fish from being predated as it is being done today. In some of my discussions and some of my research, I've come across people talking about the ethics in fishing, which is something that has been compromised, which has led to the destruction of many species because the modern scientific process of catching for the big bucks is in absolute ignorance of the breeding seasons and time when the fishes are not supposed to be caught, especially some species. And that has led to unnecessary destruction of complete species from the ocean. Maybe we can reintroduce some ethics and ethos in certain places. Thank you once again, Professor Rice. Yes. And we would look forward to your participation in our endeavor to move forward as with Tom. Thank you once again for your talk.
Thank you to everybody too.
Yes, and we will look forward to this interactive session coming up after the speakers. Now I would like to introduce our very own Professor Sufia Zaman. Now, Professor Zaman, I think most of the people who are here are aware that she is also an editor of this particular book, the second edition also, along with that of the first. The best part of a person to introduce is from personal experiences and not by reading the bios and what the person have done. In one of my professional interaction with her, we were working on the first edition of this book. And I and Professor Mitra were more or less convinced with the plan of action and how it worked. And then Professor Mitra said that it's important that we give this manuscript to Sufia ma'am to have a look. So I said to her, there is practically no need to bother her because we are already done with, because she has already given her bits and bits. Then sir insisted, no, we should give it to her. Let's see what happens with it. Now, I complied. Now, just only after, I think, 24 hours, I got the printed version from sir's house, and I found that there is practically an alternative something recommended by her in almost all the pages. And that was around 250 odd pages. So then I said, like, yes, that's how, we judge a person from the experiences that we gather. So without further ado, I'd like Dr. Zaman to come up on stage on this virtual platform and say a few words on the book and maybe the chapters that she has contributed. Professor Zaman,
yes, thank you, Professor Chakravarti, for the kind words for me. Now, a very good evening and good morning to those sitting in the outer countries. So this is very nice for us to again meet together for the second edition of the book on natural resources and the ecosystem services. And this book is very informative, and there are about 24 chapters, and this has been very well documented, this particular book, because all the research work are been highlighted here, mainly from our PhD students, other postdoctoral researchers, and it has given an insight into the present scenario of in context of climate change and how to combat with the resources, how to sustain our resources, and how to utilize them for a future sustainable development. So I think that while going through the pages and while going through the chapters, we have gained a lot of knowledge from all the contributing authors, and it has been a great pleasure to go through them. And some eminent writers are with us, eminent scientists also with us for guiding us and making this spirit high in such type of publications. And we hope that we continue with such type of writings more and more and make our goals more sustainable for the future to save our ecosystem. And thus, with this words, I think I am now getting into a more rigid platform that yes, we can together globalize, make our research more applicable for our future studies. It has to be oriented towards not only textbook or just theoretical papers, but we can go through the field work, more field work studies where we can get the ground level feedbacks. That is either from the scientific backgrounds or from whatever we get studies from the research oriented, how climate is affecting a population, how it is affecting the biodiversity. So all these different ground level studies and researches are more welcomed by the research scholars and our eminent scientists who are present here today. So with these good words, I am just thanking everyone for giving us a platform, for choosing me as an associate editor. Thank you to all. Thank you, Dr. Mitra. Thank you, Mr. Raskin Kalma. Thank you, Mr. Chakravarti, for giving this golden opportunity to be a part of this book. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zaman.
Yeah, Russ, now the stage is yours. You can carry on with the next session. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Chakrabarty. I'd like to actually mention a little bit about what I'm doing right now in the Philippines. And before we go to the open forum, and I have, just like Dr. Royce had mentioned a while ago, that we need, several areas of society to be involved with what we are doing. And I have tried to include some of our alumni people and the city of Alaminos over there in doing a project on mangroves. And again, it was inspired by Dr. Mitra. And so I'd like to end up with the open forum here so that, I can get more inspiration from you guys. And so whoever among you contributors, I know Dr. Pramanik is over there, and I know you've done so much for the group. So maybe you can help us with this area, and also Dr. Zaman, of course. So this is a time for you to talk and discuss a little bit about what you have written and contributed. Dr. Chakrabarti, please, you may lead
Right.
this one. So, okay.
Right. Thank you so much, Russ, for giving the stage to me. And yes, obviously, like, without the contributors, this entire discussion is literally of no value. It's not only about the editors, it's also about, like, how the contributors thought of shaping this up. Now, as I told everybody, that this is basically a book which works on the intersection of science, technology, and law and policy, because we got a few papers from people who have been working on aspects like what should be the policy to be introduced to counter this climate crisis. Now, some of the work that I saw were very, very interesting. Like, I think, we have Shomabha Bandyopadhyay here, as I've already introduced her. She wrote a very interesting paper. So I would like to have her here, because she also have some good experience in the aspect of ecofeminism and climate change, with special reference to reproductive rights. And that's exactly the chapter that she wrote along with some of the other young scholars, if I may be allowed to say so. So Shomabha, if you are there, you can say a few words about your thought on the recent climate crisis and what led you to write this particular paper, and you can give the audience a little like an introduction to the chapter.
Dr. Chakrabarti, before we go further, may I just suggest that everybody turn on their video so we can see your nice faces, and so we can talk as a group.
Absolutely.
Turn on your nice videos. There you go.
So we can also have a group picture or group photos going on.
Yeah, you can do that. I don't know how to do it from this end, so you can do it.
I'll do that. Yeah.
All right. So turn on your videos, please, so we can talk and
Right. So thanks everybody who have turned on the videos and things, and a lot of people are here. I can see some lovely faces, some young, strong young. It's a very nice gathering. So yes, Shomabha, if you're there, you can have a few words on the book. I think it was also co-authored by Oren Mukherjee, who is here. So both of you can share your thoughts on the work that you've done.
Yeah, so thank you very much, sir. Actually, we were looking at a different perspective, where we were looking at how environmental ethics and how culture plays an important role in preservation of Mother Nature. And that is exactly where we looked at how feminization has been very important in looking at preservation of Mother Nature. And so we tried to relate that perspective with regard to how nature has always been trying to preserve us as human beings, but we as human beings have failed to preserve her. And how that perspective is very relatable to the scenario with regards to women in general across the world. So there was this kind of an analysis that we tried to do, where we use the principles of environmental ethics, the different schools of thoughts, new animism or deep ecology and all of it, and we try to structure how, and we try to propose how probably taking a different perspective of environmental ethics will ensure and enable better preservation of Mother Nature, and as a result of that, we would be able to have better framework to combat climate change. So that is it. And Professor Kalman, sorry I couldn't switch on my video because of internet issues here, and it has been raining quite a lot in Kolkata. So because of all of that, I'm sorry. But I think I just wanted to share my opinion on whatever has been up there. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Shumaba, for your interesting thoughts. And that's right. It's a very interesting challenge. And I think, going back to ethics, going back to the basics might be the key to restore our planet from where it stands today. Oren is there with us. He's one of the younger, scholars who have contributed in that chapter. Oren, can you say a few words on that, and then we can pass on to some other scientific papers?
Yes, actually, it is very sarcastic that we worship our nature, but we don't take care of it. So that is our point of view that led us to write this article. So we portray that how we should take care and what we should done as a responsible, the member of the society. And we actually follow Professor Roscoe Pound that we are all, living in a platform, in a social platform, but we don't take care of it. And we just try to, bag as much as we can get from the society, but not contributing to the society. So that is the point of view from where we started writing this article.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Oren, for your
thank you
for your point of discussion. We can take a few more discussions on chapters. Like we have Dr. Jayanta Ghosh with us. Dr. Ghosh also co-authored a chapter, which I think he's the best person to introduce to the rest of the contributors. Jayanta, sir, if you're there, you can say a few words in this regard.
Hello, everyone. Actually, I'm staying here at very remote places, so I don't know how much my internet will work. And I really feel great to be part of this August gathering. I'm staying really very remote in my country. I'm staying at Agartala in Tripura. So I would like to say just a few words on this book. I'm really hopeful for this book because we are trying to get this book in last almost 2 years for us, and we worked hard for this book very patiently, and I really thankful for our guidance to Professor Mitra and Dr. Chakravarti, who is a colleague of mine, and Guru and Rus. Thanks for your invitation mail, and I really thanks to other contributor also for their eminent contribution to this book. And with this, thank you all, and I feel very great for this gathering and part of this gathering. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Ghosh, for your contribution, and thanks for your words. And we also have a little bit of technology playing a very interesting role, and we have also one chapter in this particular book written by Shushmita Madam, and she has been working on environmental aspects and challenges for quite some time. She has been focusing on this global crisis, and she I think have some information on how green technologies can be introduced and how the climate crisis can be mitigated. I'd request, ma'am, if you can say a few words on your chapter and what inspired you to work on this particular chapter.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm very grateful to Almighty to given me this kind of acquaintance in my life, that I have Dr. Abhijit Mitra sir, I have Ras Kalma sir, and Dr. SPC, Dr. Shufia Jaman ma'am in my life, that I am given this kind of chances to be a part of this book, which is now Ecosystem 2. I was also in Ecosystem 1 also. Actually, my research work was on climate controlling technology transfer. and IPR connection. That was done from Burdwan University. And from that point of time, sir, I am just observing how green technologies are life-saving technologies and how they are essential for combating the climate changes. And so it is very much need for the global south to achieve these technologies. And if IPR is creating barrier, then we all know that developed countries are sometimes the producers of the technologies and patents are held by them. So that was my contention from the time of my research. And I'm very grateful to Dr. SPC also for giving me this chance for publication on these green technologies. And I just assure you that more mature work can be done by me in future. So I am just grateful for all these chances in life and want to be part with your all future events also. Thank you all.
Thank you, Shushmita ma'am, because, I personally believe, technology can be used for both good and bad. And that's exactly what we have been taught when we have been kids. And now I think, what we have seen is that everybody should use technology for the benefit of the environment and things. Now, at this juncture, I'd like to hear something from Thomas Guru about how technology is focusing in addressing this climate crisis. And very recently, we also came across this Royal Earth Repair Award by a couple of gentlemen who is working on rejuvenating of a coral reef. And that's exactly the area where Tom is working for a long period of time. So is it technology that's helping, or is it what is exactly the plan of action in the next decade or so when it comes to mitigating climate crisis and technology on the other side?
Oh, sorry, you want me to say something about that? I'm in a noisy airport.
Okay, so I would repeat. I want you to reflect your thought as to how technology is going to play a dominant role, or what is the role of technology to mitigate this climate crisis? Because you are in the middle of the things when it comes to the thoughts and views of the experts in the world today.
Well, I mean, by and large, we've been very good at developing the degradative technologies, the things that run the environment down and turn them into money. And up to now, we have not really been investing in regenerative technologies, and that's what these books are all about. In fact, I mean, really, people have worked out how to regenerate every single ecosystem, including the marine ones. We're just not doing it on the scale that matches the damage that we're doing. So I think in that sense, I'm optimistic. We know what to do and we can do it. It's a matter of whether there's resources in the will at the political level. That has never been the case up to now. And that's why the climate change conference in Glasgow is so important, is that we really have to have the politicians start acting and not just talking. They've been talking blah, blah for 30 years at these conferences, and they haven't done anything yet. And we can't afford any more of that kind of delay. Otherwise, it's not us, it's our descendants who will pay the price.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Tom, for your point. Professor Rice, can you just in a few seconds tell us what technology is going to play, whether it's going to play a very important role in the next decade or so in mitigating climate crisis?
Okay, yeah, I agree with Tom Guru that really we know what to do. There is sort of a degree of sort of getting our handle around the ethics, as we have discussed a little bit earlier. I think that's very, very important. Another point is, and I think I made this with my previous paper in the previous volume, is that in many South and Southeast Asian countries, in the sort of the realm of fish production in terms of aquaculture. There's a good deal of understanding of multi-trophic aquaculture that has grown up organically, but again, there's this problem of the ethics that comes in, once someone sees that there's a good deal of profitability in, a monoculture of one thing, and it gets basically pushed in those directions. I think sort of the spreading the technology, sort of the knowledge of integrated multi-trophic systems is important. Educators, we can help with that, educating the public, but we really, and I really agree with Dr. Garreau that, bringing this to the politicians is the number one thing, and make it such that sort of societal economics, and I think that some of our colleagues in natural resource economics can help us with this in seeing sort of the overall economic value of maintaining and restoring ecosystems.
Right. Thank you.
I'd like to say a little something about what Dr. Rice had mentioned about ethics too. I know where I came from the island of Cabaruyan. We've got massive fish kills almost every year, and that's because of the unrestricted or shall we say, the inappropriate permits that are being given to people who would just apply to create fish pens, and so there's so many fish pens and so many people that's actually a problem with navigation, but people don't care sometimes. It's just when it's all about money sometimes. So that's very important. All right, Dr. Chakrabarty.
Right. Russ. Very aptly said. And I personally believe, as I have told you already, I think, if we protect the water and the water resources, we would be able to protect our planet. And I would like to request Professor Deepak Antipal to say a few words. He's from Bangladesh, and that's the land which is, I think, completely based on the blue economy. And maybe we can hear his thoughts. He's here with us today. Deepak, sir, can you say a few words on your area of expertise?
Good evening, everybody. Really, I am delighted to participate in such a occasion of these experts of environments and climate change. I think this sort of publications will be helpful for the researchers in future for carrying out their researches, and also it will be helpful for the country's policy makers who will make policy on the climate change issues and environment issues. So really, this is a very great opportunity for us from different countries of the world to hear from them, their experience, their research results and everything. That's why I like to give thanks to Professor Abhijit Mitra and Shambhu Prasad Chakraborty, also the editors, and Ras Kalma, who has edited this book. I think that will be a pathway for us to go ahead with the environment and climate change. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Now, I would like to hear something from Saurav Datta, who is on this part of India, on the same, Sundarbans, and he contributed a little here in this particular book. So I would like Saurav, if you can say a few words on the chapter that you have contributed.
Very good morning to all, and good evening to all of my colleagues and teachers and professors in India and elsewhere. So I'm in a pretty noisy environment. I'll try to find a quieter place. I stay right on the main road, so it's pretty noisy for me here. So as Professor Guru was talking about the UN SDGs, the sustainable goals, and of course, we cannot, as academicians, cannot always come up with solutions to these by ourselves. We can always point in the right direction, but it is always up to people like policymakers, for instance, for people on the ground, people who are working on the ground and who stay in the rural parts of our country to adapt and to these kind of research techniques so that they can always benefit from these. And of course, the world is heading towards a global meltdown. As I say that, it's increasing. The temperature is increasing. We all know that, and the polar ice caps are melting, and there's a lot of problem which arises because of that, especially in the coastal areas of the Sundarbans, for example, from where I am in West Bengal. And these are actually not affecting us directly as much as they're affecting the people who stay there. So it is very important for us as academicians to come up, as researchers, to come up with innovative technologies to address such issues at the grassroots level. And also for these people, we need to translate the research into work so that they can use it. It can be beneficial not only for the people, but also for the forest, the landscape, the fishes, and the animals, so that it moves towards sustainable development. It's not only towards exploiting, but also for a sustainable development, so that we can use it and conserve it for the future also. So with that, I would like to close my talk.
Thank you.
And I hope I can create some kind of impact in the future in such a beautiful environment and a field. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saurav, for that nice point of view, because I also believe that we have to take a lot of help from technologies in the years to come to mitigate climate crisis. I would like to hear also, from people who are working with civil societies and various NGOs. We have Shushmita Jaiswal with us. I'm not sure whether, sorry, Shoma Jaiswal with us. I'm not sure whether Rotaract Club is having some plan of action towards protection of our climate crisis. I would like to hear more about that, Ms. Jaiswal, if you can say a few words on that. You need to unmute yourself, please. Madam, Shoma ma'am, you need to unmute, yeah. You need to unmute.
I think you have to
Yes.
unmute.
Yes, now it's perfect. Perfect. Please carry on.
Right. Thank you so much for being with you, all of you. You all are so much scholastic presentation you have done. You have portrayed each chapter. The entire discussion went on very mind-blowing. Professor Chakraborty have said science, technology, law, and policy. And we know that water and water resources is a global crisis. If we can manage it, we can save the planet. But Professor Rice has said very aptly that you researcher, you find out a lot of avenues, different technologies, which you are talking about the green technology, about the green climate. We'll be talking about green fuel, which is undergoing process. Though I'm not a student of your discipline, I'm from Indian foreign policy. My research is on Indian foreign policy, but I keep a keen interest in the subject, which is evolving. So how technology is going to play a dominant role in mitigating climate change. It's very, very important. I'll be very happy if I get that book from your end. And politician and industrialist, I think as a social activist, one who raised voice for the environment preservation, nature preservation, eco-feminism, which you have been talking of, Mother Earth preservation. So this is here. You researcher, you can develop so many things, but that has to translate into action, implication of your research. I think that is going to give us a benefit. India must have a consortium where some adoptive rules, some some technology, some law has to be followed by each government, locally, nationally, and internationally. This is how we are going to save the nation. I think so. As an activist, this is my opinion. But you are not scholars, so my many, many thanks that you have given me this opportunity to be with you, all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shuma Madam, for your encouraging words, because I think it's not only about what we are, but it's also about the policymakers. It's also about the politicians. It's also about the people who are going to invest in this. A lot of stakeholders. I think everybody would have to take their responsibilities, else we are only going towards the down of the scale. Now, since we are coming down to the closing of this particular session, because we were having time for this, I would request Russ to take on the stage and carry on with the final part of this particular discussion. Over to you, Russ.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chakrabarty. All right, so we're going to hear from our partner, and she's been with us during the first volume and has been a good contributor to our efforts in doing our webinars and our book, of course. And I hope she's around. She is and what do you call one of the leaders, global leaders in the international what do you call Lions Club, and she's been promoting our efforts there. So she's very young academician and volunteer with Lions Club, but she's done so much. And I'd like to introduce to you our next, our closing remarks speaker, and that is Saheli Chakrabarty. Ms. Saheli Chakrabarty, are you there? Let's see, I don't know whether she's Saheli. Saheli, are you?
Maybe there is a technical an issue. We can give maybe a second or two for her to join. Coming down to her, I think it's been a pleasure to work in this endeavor with her, and especially with Lions Club International Ravindra Sarovar, because initially I was involved in the club.
There she is.
And subsequently, she was once a student of mine at Jogesh Chandra Chaudhary Law College, where she was a student. And then now I'm very happy to introduce you that he's right now a faculty in the best college, the university rather, in our country. The OP is in the Global University. So I think, she has always helped in our endeavors, and she has also got the highest award Lions Club can ever confer. So she has been a leader by herself. It's not that she's my student, but on a very professional note, she has done a lot of work. Even during the COVID times, she contracted COVID because she was trying to help people in the slums and even in the Sundarbans. I think she visited with her team. I was in my house walking and writing, and she was in the field. That's sort of young minds that we need to have. So here we go. We have Shoaili coming up for you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's really a pleasure hearing such kind words from you, because you've really seen us flourish from all the way from a seed to hopefully growing into a plant. And it's really an honor to be here and hearing such well-renowned and leading authorities in respective fields of science, technology, law, and public policy, definitely. And as a representative of Lions Club today, and not just a professional from the legal field, it's an honor that the book is coming out in the second volume, which definitely speaks much beyond that. The first volume has been well received by people all across, and the second volume is coming out, and we hope that the third will also be much bigger than this. And Lions definitely is in support and in all ways cheering, maybe in all endeavors of in any capacity of sustainable development or any other way of protecting the environment in any capacity. And I've been hearing all the authorities, I would use the word speakers, because they themselves are an institution in their respective fields rather. And there's so much to learn, and there's so much of communication that we're doing through just one platform. And I really hope that we can definitely look for a global platform for research, and hopefully that will be a message to the other institutions to look forward to as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to everybody. That concludes our inauguration for today, and we hope to have another one in the future, and that's of course with the leadership of Dr. Mitra. Good night to everybody. Good morning to some. I think Ankita is somewhere in Chicago, so good morning, Ankita, if you're there. All right. Good luck to all of you, and have a good day. Have a good night. God bless.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care,
Thank you all.
By the way, one more thing.
Yes.
I think it was Dr. Chakrabarty's idea to have a picture taken. I don't know how you do it.
I have
to do that.
I have taken a few pictures. I'll share it to you.
Well, if everybody turns on their video, I think we can do it. But I'm not a techno savvy guy, so I would leave that to the experts. So if you can turn on your videos for 1 minute, and then maybe Dr. Chakrabarty will take a picture. Do you know how to do that, or whoever? I think Dr. Pramanik, I think, is one of our specialists in this area. So
Arpita, Sana, Bishruti, Momita, please light on your video for just a second.
Yes. And keep smiling.
Yeah.
All right. Can you do the honors, Dr. Chakrabarty?
Yes. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Right. This is for the second volume.
Yep.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye from India.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.